in my ass.
I just banged your wife?
Name of this garbage show again that I'm on.
Total non-stop impact.
My name's Sean, capital letter E, period, Bravo, and you're listening to the Total Non-Stop Impact Podcast.
This is the jaw-jacking Tuesday night impacting. His mother called him son because he shines like one. Mocha skin manimal, Rohit Raju, and you are watching Total Non-Stop Impact.
This is Taya La Güera Loca, and you are listening to Total Non-Stop Impact.
The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, and you're listening to Total Non-Stop Impact.
We are the Rascals, and you are listening to Total
Non-Stop
Impact Podcast, baby.
Woo! And what you're really listening to is Total Non-Stop Impact. Don't you dare miss a listen. Oh, yeah.
What's up, Impact Wrestling? Let's make some noise!
Sitting here, you guys got a 15-minute intro of putting yourselves over while I'm sitting here and watching J-Bone and Kalon and you're 50. I never saw a 15-minute intro of three guys putting themselves over.
This is the good stuff.
Welcome back, everybody, to Total Non-Stop Impact Talk for Impact fans, featured right here on the TNI Network. This is Trent with my co-host, J-Bone Bill, and this is a very, very special show, because in that other box right there, it is not the scumbag Kyle. It is not the beautiful Alicia. This is somebody very special to me, one of my best friends in the entire world. I've known him for 21 years, everybody. This is the legendary David Virgilio. David Virgilio, what's happening today?
I didn't think you were going to say that year, the number of years. That's insane.
21 years. I met him at orientation at college.
It's a long time ago. Too long. It is my pleasure to be on. It is my pleasure to be on.
Thank you for being on.
It's nice meeting you too, J-Bone and Bill.
Yes.
Nice meeting you too, dude.
It was very
we feel like we already know you and your Kash.
So we've done 43 of these, 43 weeks in order, weekly, like you and I watched them.
We watched them all. Yeah,
we watched them all. And for everybody in the chat, this is the guy I watched every single one of these with, on the couch, with Chinese food and sometimes pizza. And we every week for 100 and how many 170 weeks, whatever it was.
It's a lot of wrestling.
Amazing.
Dave, you've been an intricate part of all these reviews since day one. You just haven't known it.
I feel it though. I feel it here.
Well, I will
in the Raven t-shirt.
And then he's got the very fitting t-shirt. How about this shirt though? We got to mention the shirt.
That is authentic.
That is an authentic Raven shirt that people in the crowd on this episode are wearing.
That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah, De Niro's wearing that shirt.
We are here to talk. There it is. Look at that.
Get a close look at that shirt.
Look at
folks.
that
Look
shirt.
at that. That is gorgeous.
You know, if you can, David, show us the back. If you could show the classic thing that's written on the back. This is an OG TNA shirt, though. Look at this. Flock you. Vocal Raven, nevermore. Oh my God. Very nice. Look at this comment. Look at this, Dave. Look at this comment from Mir Nason. You owe Dave rent money. Look at the amount of time I spent.
He paid for food. Don't worry. He paid for some of the food.
I did. Okay. I sure did. But very nice. Like, I'm glad to have. This is a very special episode because this is number 43, guys. This is the infamous Jarrett and Raven match. Probably the first big real build in the history of TNA Impact Wrestling. This is the fun that really got to. That got him on the map. I think this one set him on the map.
There was so much hype for this episode. And you know what? Let me break into your thing here, because right off the bat, I'll tell you this. I watched more Impact Wrestling in the last week to get ready for the show here than I have probably watched in several years combined. But I watched some of your shows too. And I'll tell you one thing though, I have to start off with a correction of sorts.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Tell us.
You've been telling. I'm gonna put my coffee on for this. You've been telling everybody that you've been watching the show from my couch, from my couch, your buddy Dave's couch. What year was this?
This is 2003.
How old were we?
We were 22 at the time.
So, babies. I don't know about you. I still lived at my parents' house. You were watching a show from my dad's couch. Okay.
Yes.
We were watching the show from my dad's couch every night, every week.
So what I do every week, David, is I go on and I say, now I always give the date. Now this show took place on April 30th, 2003. Now I was watching the show. I was on my buddy Dave's couch watching the show. So I always ask J-Bone and Bill. Yeah, I always ask J-Bone and Bill, what were you guys doing? But before I get into that, I actually have photographic evidence of this.
Boy.
J-Bone, go ahead and show them. I have actually photographic evidence of the couch. J-Bone, please, if you would indulge me on this, please. Look, guys, this is the photo.
That.
Look at this guy. That's the couch. Wearing an NWO shirt. I was a mark back then too. The hair was shorter. I was growing it back out, Dave. Remember this? I cut it.
You had it really short. Yeah,
I had it really short. And this is taken on a regular developing film camera. This was no digital.
Don't forget about the map of the world.
The map of the world. That's right. Oh man, classic. That's the house. That's the couch. Many a TNA was watching on that couch. But that's awesome.
That is a great picture.
So Dave, usually I say, I was on my buddy Dave's couch watching this. Your answer already is, so was I, right? I'd imagine. You were also on your couch watching this.
I was on the couch watching. I don't know what we were eating. Lou Malnati's, maybe.
Maybe Lou's.
Maybe some Lou's.
Maybe some Lou's. The Chinese place we used to go to, is that still there? The one we used to always order from.
Do they ever leave?
They don't ever leave.
Yeah, I'm sure it's still there.
And there was a very famous another pizza place we would always get from something in Carroll Stream. What was the name of that pizza place? We'd always go there. We'd always order from that.
No, they were. So I grew up in Wooddale, Illinois. Famous Wooddale, Illinois. White Cottage Pizza, I believe.
White Cottage. That was it. That was the one. So Bill, you come.
Shout out. If anybody from that place is listening, send me pizza.
Wooddale represent. I might have to take. Now Bill's going to be in town next week. I might have to take him to White Cottage Pizza. But all right, let's. So I always ask these two now, Dave. Now, what were you guys doing? Now, J-Bone was probably licking the wounds of another destroyed relationship, and who knows what he was doing. Maybe sleeping in the car, maybe on the front stoop. But J-Bone, why don't you tell us? Bill, I'm going to come to you now.
Well, this is April 30th, so it's literally just days after my birthday. So I could be still just hungover and on the couch.
All right, fair enough. You were at least indoors with a roof over your head. Bill, what were you doing here?
I was still in the middle of my first marriage at this point.
Okay, well we all know how that turned out. Anyway, let's go to Bill on this. What were you doing, Bill?
April
30th.
April 30th. I was probably just working for the man probably by then. I was because Dad, I guess that was near the end of my last semester in college. And then I was probably, so I may have had classes that day because I was working off and on that last semester. So, but it was near the end. So I was probably starting to get a little wild with the end of school at the end of the year. So who knows? Maybe throw back a few for those that watched earlier.
A few sodas?
Maybe a few beer skis.
Now, Dave, Bill has a gimmick table right in front of him because he has a lot of merch.
It's like Carrot Top over here.
It's just gimmicks. It's like going to like a Carrot Top or a or what was the other guys? Like the other guys, Gallagher. Like a Gallagher.
Yes, that's some old school.
I'm excited to talk about this one because a little background on this. We were very excited that Raven came to TNA. That was a big deal, right? Like we were always like, there's somebody like there's new names every week.
We were watching ECW DVDs like nonstop. Okay, when they were first releasing them. We're not obviously able to watch all of them. All the stuff as it's airing back then, but we were trying as hard as we could to watch all these DVDs and all the ECW stuff. That was our favorite stuff to watch. So as soon as all those guys started showing up in TNA, That was definitely kind of like the turning point. It was like TNA. We liked TNA. Was like we were into it. We were digging it. And then they started bringing all these guys in. Was like, okay, they finally had a landing spot. They weren't, getting used over on the other show. So once they started showing up there, that was something else.
It was a big deal. Like,
It's cool.
And you guys in the chat, I want you guys, to share your memories on this too, because this was a big one. This was a big one too. The first one, I feel that they really built up to a little background. I remember, Dave, probably remember this too. They mentioned on the show too, Bill, that they turned away 1,300 people on this one, and
I wrote that down.
Yeah,
standing room. He put standing room only. He said, or at least that's what they were saying. They turned away like 11 to 1,300 people or something like that.
Yeah, because the place maxed out. The Asylum, if you fill the catwalk, filled about 12 to 1,300 already. So they and I remember hearing the buzz. Remember the message boards we'd always go on. The buzz was always that they had a line wrapped around the building twice over that they couldn't let in, and so it was a huge deal, Jay. This was a huge deal.
Oh yeah, and you could tell. I mean, they did a lot of pan outs from way and back to see exactly how many extra people they packed in. Like they would always show the bleachers and the people like by the entrance, and then opposite of the entrance on the other side. But there were never that many people on the camera side of the ring. I forget what you call it. But they panned back early in the show, and they said they looked, and there was like at least 10 to 15 people deep, solid, all the way around that one side of the ring. That there usually weren't that many people there. So
nuts. It was crazy. So well, let's jump into it. Dave Donuts, what a donut lovers here wants to know if we're taking questions for you. These guys have questions for you. So
I'm not very interesting. So sure, you can ask. I guess
throw the questions at him. Anything you've got, throw it at him.
I assume it's just throwing Trent under the bus type question.
He is asking if I played bass. I picked up music the summer following this show. That's when I first started the band. Was right after this, like the summer of 2003. So this was I had nothing. That's why Dave and I attended like 300. There it is. The Hemi
cheap plug.
Hey,
Dave and I,
the Hemi sticker.
We attended like 300 indie shows between like college and like this summer. Like insane. I mean, even after that too. But there was no band. There was nothing taking my time, and that was it. So that was what we did. But let's jump in, guys. April 30th, 2003. They start off with Jeff Jarrett arriving at the arena, super focused. The security's with him, wearing the old school TNA logo shirt, which I thought was cool. It had something written on the back. Bill, did you catch that? What it had on the back? I did not. It was the spiked logo, but it had something on the back. I don't know if it just said security or what.
The guys that were with them, it was the TNA logo with security on the back.
Security on the back? Okay.
Yeah. I noticed that too. I'm like, oh, I wonder if those are out there.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, are they selling those too?
Because we're looking for those NWA with the big TNA on the back.
Yeah. See, I got the reprint of this.
Oh,
one.
Look at that.
They reprinted this, Dave, like on Pro Wrestling Tees.
That's gorgeous.
But the long form NWA ones are on eBay for $100+ too. That's another one. That's crazy.
Insane. That's crazy.
But Tenay does note here that this is the most important match in NWA-TNA history, which it was at this point.
I'll tell you this. I watched episodes 41, 42, and 43 to get ready for this, and this was a very short cold open. They were trying to stress, in my opinion, how important this episode was. It was like a 15-second cold open, right? They showed Jarrett. They showed Jarrett walking in. That was it. Then they went straight to into the tag match.
Yeah, because they've been going at least 5 to 8 minutes on these openings lately.
Yes.
So this was a short one.
They've got to figure
Yes, it was him.
They were bringing in a lot of new traffic and viewers at this time.
Yeah.
So that's why each show leading up to this had such a lengthy intro to give you kind of a catch up, and they were doing a lot of stuff in between too.
That's right. Yeah.
Like a little longer than usual, especially over the course of the last month. So I mean, for us that have been watching, like this is my interesting point on this. I'm watching all these brand new day of.
Yeah, he never watched them, Dave. Dave's first time.
I never watched them, whereas Trent and you watched them live when they aired. and I decided with Trent, I said, well, we're gonna do these, and I'm gonna watch these
cool.
like the day of, like a brand new fan, and it's crazy because there's the time in wrestling right now is so tumultuous, very very similar to how like we're watching, like there's surprises every week. You never know when so and so is gonna show up, in the TNA Asylum, just like any other wrestling show today. So yeah, I'm really enjoying these. These are
it holds up, I tell you. And some of the stuff, and we'll get to it obviously during this episode. Some of it works, some of it doesn't work. But overall, I thought that it holds up pretty well for being 17 years old.
That's the thing that gets us. We're like, this stuff still holds up, and in some ways, it's better than today's type of product. Like you can see, today's very rehearsed in a lot of ways. A lot of structure. This was like, you got that raw call in the ring style. There was a lot of emotion in these matches, which that to me was one of the best parts about it.
All right, I got to tell you, Trent, I don't share a lot of these lately, but I'm going to quick share you this before we get too deep into this. All right.
Yeah.
So one thing that you did not tell us, and I'm a little angry at you for, you did not tell us that you were on the George Lopez show, for crying out loud.
Oh, come on.
Are you
looking
spot on?
Are you actually the George Lopez?
I'm actually George Lopez. That's what this is.
Damn it, Trent. I mean, George.
Holy shit. What? He's on a couch and with the same haircut. Jesus Christ. Who the fuck found that?
That's our old buddy Zach.
Zach Bonifer. Thank you very much. I can always count on him.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
We kick off with a 4-way, 4-corner faction tag team match. The New Church, the Harris Boys. The New Church, obviously the Disciples of New Church. The Harris Boys representing Sports Entertainment Extreme. Team Extreme with Saturn and Just Incredible. And then AMW. This is before the cool music still has not kicked in for AMW at this point, Bill. This is we're still on the old music here, and I'm shocked.
Old music here, but I assumed if you picked up the bass not long after this, it was that Cashmere ripoff by Team Extreme.
Yeah, they definitely come out to that
Cashmere.
They do. So the crowd's super hot here. That's what the crowd is really into this. The New Church, and Dave, like you're starting a little later into it, but you remember how over the New Church was early.
New Church was great.
Oh my God, first 20 episodes, they were amazing.
Let me ask you this for those of you that have watched these for 42 episodes. How long has it been since Russo's been gone now? Because he started at SEX, and how long has it been now since they've been around without him? Has it been only a few weeks, or has it been longer than that?
I think Bill, we were talking about this the other day too. I think
he's months.
It's been almost 2 months that he's been gone. I would say, J-Bone's right. Like almost 8 shows that he's been gone. 8 weeks of shows, maybe even a slight more.
Well, technically cooked around that one time. But.
Yeah. So last week, it's funny, Dave. He gets caught in the back of a vignette. Like you see him kind of poke out, and he's like, "Oh shit!" so he's there. So, but
I heard you guys talking about that. It's wild. It's wild that the team, they still kind of had him together for as long as it did after he kind of left him there. But they strung some interesting matches together, I'd have to say.
We were always on the fence about buying the Sports Entertainment Extreme shirt because it's like I can't really walk around with a shirt that just says sex. Like I'm going to walk around with a shirt in public,
but it sells.
It sure does. I'm shocked they didn't reissue that one though. That would have been a good one to reissue during the reissue they put up. So Perry Saturn, can we all agree, was on fire in this match? Holy shit! How good is Perry Saturn? Like I forget how good he was still in 03. Unbelievable.
He was so good.
Yeah, he looked great here. He looked as good as he did in ECW and WCW. He looked really good in this match.
So good,
since he arrived, he's been very good.
He's been fantastic.
A powerhouse.
I think he out of the members of Team Extreme that we've seen so far up to this point, he's clearly the one who's carrying him. Yeah, for sure. Sure.
You know what I realized though, and Bill and Dave, Bill was a ECW arena guy. Like he's a Philly guy, so he was going to the shows. I realized today, watching this, I'm like, man, I really don't know what I saw in Just Incredible. I really was not. I was not into. I was like, Why was I so into this guy at one point? I'm not really like digging Just Incredible as much anymore.
Yeah. He had a name you could chant.
Yeah, that was it. You know, or Justin S.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
I did it because of the look.
There you go. I don't know. I feel like he was not. Yeah, and then I thought back to ECW days. I'm like, yeah, he could talk. That's about it, though. You know, it just I didn't see it anymore. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
You know, am I wrong? But
you're not wrong. Maybe only Bart Gunn has been less effective as a debut than Just Incredible.
Oh,
yeah.
that was crickets.
Oof.
So, yeah, so Dave, you probably saw that one where Bart Gunn shows up and nobody cared. It was terrible. And
who is this guy?
Yeah.
So my friend of the show, Mark, we were talking about it, and I think we talked about this. And I'm like, man, I just not taking the Just Incredible, man.
I wasn't a huge fan of his in ECW, to tell you the truth. I mean, he was a guy, and I mean, it was fun
there
to watch, but he was there. But yeah, I obviously, you know, I much love to Saturn here in this run here. He was fantastic, and the other guys, you know, brought the entertainment. Sandman always good.
Yeah.
A little cringy, to be honest with you, watching New Jack out there again after, you know, all the stuff
you see now about
him. Now it's like, oh, okay, New Jack's there.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I think obviously, yeah, Saturn's carrying this crew for sure.
100%. They do win Saturn. They get the win on this one, so Team Extreme does win. Just a wild brawl, like what you'd expect. No stakes on this one, right, Bill? There was no like contendership stakes on this or anything. They didn't say. Did they?
No, they just were repping their stables. Is really all it was.
This was I wrote down. I thought this was a vehicle to push the breakup AMW storyline more than anything else.
I think you're right. I think because they've been teasing that for like 3 weeks at this point, and they definitely took the L with some miscommunication. So yeah, it could be. I think they're. And if you think about it, Dave, they went to that early. You know, like 40 weeks in, they started going to that breakup. And it's like, I mean, 40 weeks is not, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't long amount of time. And they were teasing the breakup right away. And it's like, fuck, that's fast. Milford Harris always going for the,
come on now.
Always going for the shot. Always taking the shot.
I'll tell you, I listened to the first episode I listened to you guys was the one where you had Chris Harris on a couple weeks ago or last month or whatever that was. That was a 3-hour episode, and I was getting some work done on my car at the car dealership, and I was actually there for 3 hours. I listened to that from beginning to end nonstop.
That's awesome.
It was a great episode, and that just listening to him talk about some of this stuff about how they kind of were teasing the breakup of them, and they didn't want to do it, and all that stuff, and how that worked in the back. That was kind of interesting to listen to, I thought. But yeah, it's to your point. You know, it's really soon that they were really pushing that.
It's interesting. Like and I love how fondly he talks about it too. But it was interesting to see that they also felt that too. That it was like, man, a little fast to be doing that because they were just catching fire. They had tag team runs, and it's like, what the hell? So a little weird. Didn't expect them to go, but then obviously I think they drop it fast too, like almost just as fast. They drop it. Dave, we got a couple questions for you. Let me just throw those at you real quick. There was one here. Were you more of a WCW or WWF guy before all the TNA?
No, it depends on when, right? I mean, when I was growing up, I was an 80s kid, so it was WWF all the way. I mean, nonstop, Bret the Hitman Hart, 100%. 100%. I mean, WCW fine, but I'll answer that question with Bret the Hitman Hart. That's
with this one, the favorite wrestler one? Okay.
Oh, no. That's the answer to both of those questions. All right.
You could think about back then or now. Now he's not watching a ton right now, so you could think about this one if you want. We can go to this one a little bit later on, but we go from that match right to Goldilocks, who friend of the show, Goldilocks, also been on with Glenn Gilberti, Disco Inferno. She puts him over. She goes, "You're doing a pretty good job since Russo's been gone. You've taken this unit by the balls," which totally was said on purpose. She literally said the line, "You've taken this unit by the balls." And she asks, so now they're teasing this, right? So they're asking, how did you lose Raven to Team Extreme? And because Raven's kind of been on, like, he's been teasing a foot in each at this point. And I love it. He's like, Goldie, I've slapped a lot of people, and I'm not above slapping you. So, which again, nowadays, could you say that nowadays on TV? He just says Raven needs to be clear with him first what he wants. And what he plans to do, but either way, the title's coming back to Sex tonight. So,
but he did have a good line, about Team Extreme. He says
What'd he
they're
say?
a bunch of drug addicts from the bingo hall.
That's right.
Bingo hall. He did mention the bingo hall.
You gotta get the bingo hall. Ooh.
I mean, Bill spent a lot of nights in that bingo hall. I mean, a lot of he saw a lot happen.
That's
He loves the bingo hall. But no, it was always the easy below the belt cheap shot, right? To take on ECW. Bingo hall, scrubs, that's all it was.
But then just like they were going with Raven, though, the drug addicts, though.
Yeah. So apparently, from what I understand, Raven was going through a bit of a drug problem at this time. Like he was legit going through something. And that's why there was some tension with him and Jarrett, because 2 weeks ago, during some of the final go home hype, Jarrett did say something like, while you were off detoxing somewhere, I was winning world titles. But apparently there was a little truth in that, just because he was going through something, and they were not happy with him that he was still fighting this demon. So I'm sure that played into the show here. That played into some of what we saw. So we'll get to that though in the main event. It's a Goldilocks again. So they go to we get the rundown.
Yeah. Go back what you were about to say. They're going to TNA and West. I want you to start putting this in all of your recaps from this point forward when they go to TNA and West. Don West shirt tie coordinated color combination of this episode was silver silk shirt with silver matching tie. Come on now. Don West, you have to start doing this. Don West is wearing a silver button-down silk shirt with a silver tie. He does this on it. I don't know how long he kept doing this, but he was wearing the same color shirt, the same color tie. Tell us from now on what colors he's wearing.
Fair enough. Bill, I'm going to put it on you to catch that detail.
I think we need some type of little segment here, like J Bone's News. We need, and Don's wearing on the catwalk silver.
That's what I'm talking about.
Don's fashion. I do skip this part, the rundown of the cards. I think we're going to get to the card, but you're right, because Don has been wearing the louder stuff lately. So we're going to have to. All right, Bill, I'm leaving it to you to write down what Don's wearing.
Yeah, well, he did red and red a lot, but he was full Hawaiian last week.
Last week.
He was.
Last week was hilarious.
Well, Jay has a shirt just like that. That's what he was laughing about. That he's got a shirt just like it. So.
It's like one of those ones from those silky shirts from 20 years ago, and it's got all the big wild crazy symbols on it, like dice and 8 balls and all that kind of crazy shit on it. I'm like, that's perfect. I was gonna stick it on old Manny Bones here. He's a little naked lately.
Yes. Very nice.
There's a good question about who attacked Lollipop. I want to get to that later.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting revelation too. So yeah, we'll talk about that. Goldilocks is with Jerry Lynn. He like this. He's like, every time someone has a point to make, they make it at my expense. He's like, or she says to him, at your expense. He goes, I'm sick of being the doormat. It's not happening anymore. No use being the good guy around here. He goes, I want you all to watch my match because there's gonna be a whole new Jerry Lynn tonight. He's a little fired up. Well, Jerry Lynn, nice guy, Jerry Lynn, fired up tonight. Nice. No, not. What do you say? You're disagreeing, Dave.
No, I'm saying, what do you guys feel about an angry Jerry Lynn? I wasn't buying it.
I don't buy it.
I was not buying the angry Minnesotan. I just wasn't buying it.
The angry Minnesotan.
He's such a nice guy. It's just like, even now, he's the nicest guy in the world, and it's like
they were definitely teasing this because there was even a sign in the crowd: "Come to the dark side, Jerry."
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So they were like. I think that was a planted sign, but I think they were definitely trying to tease that. I think, but it wasn't working.
That's true.
I didn't buy it.
I didn't buy it either. He almost seemed nervous delivering that promo.
He said you're going to see a whole nother brand new Jerry Lynn. What does that even mean? A whole nother brand new.
Brand new.
I wrote that down.
They were going multiverse, early multiverse.
You got Johnny
Doppelganger Jerry.
I try to point out that Johnny Swinger is in the chat tonight, and he is just tearing all the Mizarks up. All the Mizarks are he is getting everybody tonight, and I have no idea who it is. It might be the Swingman himself, but he is tearing the Mizarks apart, and he's got the shirt there. There it is. There it is. Look at that. That's a great shirt. Yes. Great look. Very nice. Did you plan that, Bill? Is this a plant here? Who was Johnny's? You had
No,
that
he was
shirt
in the unboxing earlier today.
Oh, okay.
He
okay.
was. It was. Yeah. I just checked him out. It says Johnny Swinger, but that's the only thing that's on there. It's so
Great. Hey, whoever you are, I'm all
Johnny
about it.
Swinger.
We enjoy you no matter what.
Yeah, he's subbed, so I'm not gonna. He's subbed, so I'm not gonna.
Hey, we can't knock it. He's a subscriber. You're a paying customer. God damn it! You could say whatever you want in this chat.
Yeah.
Was he able to sub on Twitch through his pager? Was he able to beep it?
The beeper. Very nice.
His flip phone.
He does. The actual Johnny Swinger was using a flip phone when I saw him backstage at Hard to Kill. I couldn't believe. I was like, man, he really does have a flip phone, and he's struggling with that. So Chris Daniels against Jerry Lynn. Now, looking at this right off the bat, this is classic pioneer TNA guys. Solo match for Chris Daniels here. No Elix, who was kind of like half and half. Like he wasn't there every week at this point. I noticed Elix was not on consistently. Neither was Low Key.
Yeah, definitely Low Key.
Low Key, I know we saw Low Key a lot. A lot of indies we would see Low Key during this time, but Elix, I think, was working a full-time job. I really think that's what it was. He was working a full-time. Remember, this is Wednesday night. I think it was hard for him to get out to do these sometimes. I'm assuming. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what it was.
Well, I know when they were bringing them in early, they were talking about them touring Japan a lot. So
yeah,
interesting.
So it could have been a number of things, but yeah, they would try to switch them out.
What a great match here, though. I mean, these two, like you were just saying. I mean, just going back and having the ability to watch Jerry Lynn versus Christopher Daniels. I mean, this is fantastic. These guys are two of our favorites when we were watching this stuff. Obviously, Jerry Lynn from back in the day, and Christopher Daniels from
Windy City Pro Wrestling.
City Pro. That's right.
Where he trained here in Chicago. Windy City Pro Wrestling.
Yeah,
it's where we first would see him early days with hair. By the way, he had hair at the time. This was great. Daniels gets on I noticed his music got abruptly cut off, and this happened a couple times throughout the show, where the music guy, Bill, we're back to the shitty music guy, because he cut the music early for like 3-4 matches. Did you catch this?
Yeah, I'll just always blame Mitchell in the truck. Keith Mitchell in the truck.
Keith Mitchell in the truck is cutting the music. Keith Mitchell in the truck.
Keith.
Always Mike.
Keith, I need that replay.
Keith Mitchell in the truck. Play that replay. Daniels kind of runs down Jerry, a little bit. Says Triple X is a real dream tag team, but if he beats Jerry, then him and Rev put the tag team titles up against all 3 members of Triple X. And then Jerry says, I'll counter that. And, like in the spirit of the NWA, how about if I win, Red and I defend against 1 member of Triple X at our choosing. And then they just kind of go into the match. You don't really give Daniels a chance to say yes. They go right in. But Jerry was super over here. Like crazy. The Jerry chants and everything. I thought this was a great match. I personally thought Daniels was going to win this one. I thought they were going to kind of go with that story, but Jerry does win on that, like the kind of more dastardly roll up that he did. It wasn't like he didn't pull tights though, right? Right, guys? Like he didn't cheat. He just kind of went. He was a little more intense. I would.
There was some knocking around of the ref. I forget which was it. Was it Rudy or Andrew Thomas? I don't know. It was Rudy. It's always Rudy.
So we thought
the start of a long night of Rudy.
A lot of Rudy Charles. Andrew Thomas was no better on this show either. By the way,
he got a few bumps too.
I have a rant about him when the X Division title match comes up.
Oh no!
God. Yeah, and he was one I was looking forward to. But my God. But Jerry's over, so Jerry wins. He gets a rope when the Daniels hits the ref. So it's Rudy and Andrew just off today. Off, by the way. We get a little recap video of Team Extreme here.
Boy, he gives him a low blow before he rolls him up.
I didn't catch that. He was a low blow. Okay, I missed that.
The ref takes a bump. And we'll see it's Christopher Daniels actually shoves him, and which distracts the ref. So the ref's in the corner with his back turned towards the guys. Jerry Lynn drops to his knees, gives Daniels a low blow, and then rolls him up. Ref turns around, boom, 1, 2, 3. So it's So this is a different side of Jerry Lynn. I mean, he was super aggressive in this one. I'd say stiff, and then with the low blow roll up was like, oh, maybe
I didn't catch
to
that.
the dark side.
I absolutely did not catch the low blow. I totally missed that then.
It happens real fast because you're looking at
Yeah,
the
they were in the
ref
corner. The ref
corner.
got distracted, and there's all kinds of
stuff. A lot going on here. Interesting. I missed it. Team Extreme and Sports Entertainment Extreme. A lot of extremes here. That was the buzzword of 2003. Extreme. I mean, my deodorant was extreme at this point. During this time, everything was extreme. Disco just telling him you're shit for business. You guys are just absolute shit. You suck. He's pissed. He's like, your boy Raven. He can't, he get your boy Raven in check. And then Sammy's like, what do you mean, my boy Raven? Screw it. We can't find him either. But again, the star of this is Saturn. Saturn came off fantastic right here. I think strong promo right in Disco's face. I don't know if you guys wrote down any specific lines, but I just thought Saturn came off very well out here.
I wrote down that. See, Saturn was good, but I wrote down the New Jack line.
Oh man,
he jumps over Saturn, gets in Disco's face. I'm a convicted felon, bitch.
I'm a convicted felon, bitch.
I'm telling you, it was a little cringy watching New Jack again after all these years in the ring. It's like, oh boy.
Biggest pop of the episode. I laughed so damn hard. I rewound it. I'm like, convicted felon, bitch.
I'm a convicted felon, bitch. You see Disco look at him like, what? Like, who booked that shit?
Saturn's like, all right, chill, ass, chill.
We go, yeah. But Saturn, I think again, Saturn was just break to me. I feel like he was hitting such a stride at this point, man. Incredible.
I was happy to see him in there at that point. I don't know how long he lasted after this in TNA. I don't think it was too much longer. I don't remember him having a super long run there. But,
no, it wasn't. That's the thing that gets me.
Yeah, like watching it was like, man, he's really carrying these guys. The other guys are just kind of showing up and doing their shtick.
Yeah.
I kind of wrote down all the guys that they brought over from ECW, and you got like your Jerry Lynn's and your Kid Cashes. These guys are actually working great quality matches, doing things. Sandman's there doing Sandman stuff. New Jack's there doing New Jack stuff. But
yeah,
Barry Saturn's associated with those guys, but he's carrying, man. He's carrying.
Yeah, he did great. I think he just looked stronger than anybody at this point. I try to remember what the timeline was, and you guys in the chat can probably know about this. Where is this after the Moppy shit? This is after all that Moppy stuff that he did up north. Is that right? Did you guys know this for a fact, Bill? Or Jay, you might know this offhand.
I think this is pre-Mop. This has got to be pre. No, wait.
No, this has to be after.
No, this has got to be after because it was 2000 when everybody jumped ship from WCW to WWF,
right?
And it was Eddie, Benoit,
the Radicals, yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the name of the group, the Radicals, and they came in. They all did their thing, and then things got weird a couple years later. Pattern, yeah, you're right. It's got to be after Moppy.
Moppy was 01, so Rex is saying, right? Okay,
there you go.
So where does Saturn go after this? Is this where he just disappeared? Is this after?
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember. I can't think. Yeah.
Because we know there was a big drug issue and he was real bad. Like life got bad. He broke up a fight he saved a woman's life. He got stabbed in the neck for it, or something, or he survived, saved a woman from being raped, but then he fell into the painkillers from the neck stabbing. He fell into a big drug problem, was homeless, got back on track. I'm just trying to remember what happened. I don't think he's there much longer after this. I think it's maybe another 6 months, if anything. But where does he go? So, right here, he got shot in the face shortly after this.
Whoa.
Okay, and then there was other stuff after. So this is very soon towards the end. That was it. So it was. He didn't go anywhere else wrestling wise. This was, and think about how peak he was right here. Had he stayed on the straight and narrow, it could have been amazing right about here. I think he could have grown to be an incredible star for them because he found it. It seemed like he found a new home. He got re-energized as. He got to be the badass Perry Saturn again, which I liked, instead of goofy moppy shit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What a shame though. But back to the matches. Sports Entertainment Extreme coming out. Sonny Siaki, Dave's favorite guy, ace in the hole. Sonny Siaki.
What an ace hole!
What an ace hole! with Desire, with the
Now,
lovely.
Desire.
You notice that Jeremy Borash always, whenever he introduced her, he goes with Desire. Like he always will say it like that, and I'm like,
With
fuck?
Desire.
With Desire. And David Young, who was another underrated guy at this point, taking on AJ
Good
Styles.
wrestler.
Yes, taking on AJ Styles and who we now call DeLorean Brown.
Nice.
He was he appeared on Impact this week in a campaign to get Heath Slater. Or sorry, not Heath. Heath. What's his new name now? I forgot his last name. He's just going by Heath.
Just Heath.
Just Heath,
His
right?
last
Not
name
going-
was Stolen.
Yeah, that's right. It was stolen. He a campaign to get him hired, and they refer to him as DeLorean Brown. He's like, he's Irish, man. He's got kids. God damn it! Like, it's fucking hilarious.
And during that promo,
All
many of the people from the cameo were huge stars in 2003.
That's true.
awesome.
That's true. They did. So, Dave, just real quick sidebar. They're trying to get this guy hired, Heath, and his best friend is Rhino, Terry Rhinoceros Garrett, as it was noted on the show.
Come on. Was this week's episode?
Oh my god! I'll send you
was-
the link to this.
I'll tell you, when I watched episode 43, because I'm on I have Impact Plus, and I was like just going down some interesting rabbit holes because they have so much content on there. And I watched the latest episode of Impact they had available yesterday, which was last week's episode.
Yeah.
I ended up watching the entire episode. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking about was this on last night's episode maybe?
This would have been on this past Tuesdays, which we wouldn't be able to see this past Tuesdays yet.
Yeah, it wasn't available.
It would be next. Yeah, so it'll be on by tomorrow. It should be on.
Yeah,
But
tomorrow or Friday, 1 to 2. Yeah.
But like, yeah, the kid had cameos from like David Hasselhoff and like Flava Flav, like all these people were on Impact.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris, and then today online they had Dog the Bounty Hunter on today. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was hilarious. But
That's hilarious.
This match, okay, tell me, I want you guys' opinion on this. Let me start with Dave. We'll go around. And you guys in the chat sound, whoever watched this, I know a few of our guys, Rex, Adam, you guys, I know I'll watch this. Mark, we're all watching this live. And then Truck. Is Truck in here tonight? He did the watch party. Is Truck in the chat tonight?
I have not noticed Truck yet.
Truck is not in, but he did do the watch party this past weekend for this show. But anyway, this match, even though they refer to the fact that AJ and David Young had a little history in NWA Wildside and stuff, I felt it was kind of choppy. Like they didn't really hit second gear at any point in this match. And then there was there was big moves. There was like a couple dynamic moves towards the end, like a couple flips and dives and a couple power moves, but it was choppy. Am I wrong? Let me start with Dave. Am I wrong that it had a little choppiness to it? They just couldn't get flow.
So you mentioned my friend Sonny Siaki there when we introed this match. This guy should not be taking moves from AJ. He totally messed up AJ's backflip into the reverse DDT. He totally messed that one up.
That was a big one.
The guy can make some moves here and there, but he's not. I don't think he's quick enough for a guy like AJ. Was this the first time AJ did the Pele kick?
The first in TNA.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike and Don West were making it sound like it's the first time they'd ever seen it. They were like, "I've never seen that before," and I'm like,
"It's like he was like Pele."
Yeah. And he does that constantly after this. Like that was a part of his repertoire. But I thought that was the first time he's done that.
First time, and I think that's the naming of it. That's the genesis
that's
of
definitely
it.
the naming of it. Maybe he did it some other time, but they didn't call it out like they did this time.
Yeah, real good catch on that one. That really was the first time.
And the last thing I put was D'Lo Brown's frog splash is fantastic.
Oh my god,
that's all I gotta say about that.
That's another guy. Like D'Lo's been fantastic.
So good. Yeah,
Did
he's
you
really
notice
good in this era.
How over he is, D'Lo?
Yes,
it's incredible.
Yes, and he was great. He was eating it up, and he was playing off of it. This era of D'Lo is fantastic. I love this D'Lo.
We forgot, and Jay, we got to test this. When he debuted, like maybe a month and a half-ish ago, the pop was like deafening pop. And we were like, three of us were on the show. We're like, when was D'Lo this over? Like we forgot that he was this over, but he was fucking crazy over.
Yeah.
Insane. But you're right, the Gray Fox. But Bill, what do you think? Was it a little choppy? Like I felt like they didn't get flowing. Maybe it was Sonny Siaki. I don't know.
Sonny definitely struggled a little bit in this match. I know AJ was coming off an injury, so maybe a little bit that could have he seemed pretty smooth in everything he was doing though, but it could have been a little choppy because of that. Because you're right, he was just getting his big moves over. There wasn't really any story being told in this match.
No flow.
It was similar to an indie promotion or the company down south. It was a little bit of a spot fest.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, I gotta put it up because when shots are fired, we definitely have to. Where's my thing, J Bone? I lost. There it is. Shots fired. we also have a audio version of Shots Fired, which we really like to pull out to bust that out. And Jay, let me go to you on this. What did you think? Are we off? Did you feel a little more? Was they had a little more move or flow to it?
It was okay. I think the awkwardness, and they talk about this, is because AJ Styles and D'Lo Brown are such strong singles guys, and putting them together just felt like, okay, why are we sticking these guys together? Oh, just to get them on the card.
Because there was really nothing for them. There's no story with them at all.
No, it's just another play against NWA versus versus Sex. But the thing is, Styles at this point was still pretty heelish.
Yeah,
and D'Lo Brown was kind of like right in that gray line of heel babyface. So it was kind of weird in that sense too. Like, you want to cheer for him, but he's done a couple things that made you wonder about him. And I think another huge thing that they kept mentioning during the match is how distracting Desire was. She had that zip top that she kept on. Oops, here's a little more. Oop, no, now I'm going to take it away. Oop, here's a little more, and I'm going to take it away now. And she kept doing that, and they kept putting the camera on her. It's like, damn. Yeah, I'd be distracted too. I'd be like, oh, I was going to do a move. I don't remember what the hell I was doing now because I just looked at it.
The interesting thing here, though, to note is that Desire and Sonny Siaki ended up having a child together very soon after this. That's not married or anything, but they had this developed into something. But you know what's funny? Dave, you and I, at the time, were so into Sonny Siaki. We loved Sonny Siaki. And then as I watch these, I'm like, he wasn't that fucking
so
good.
Terrible.
He's not good.
He comes off to me as a guy who's got it all, but I don't know if he just didn't practice or something. But his delivery on the mic was off every time. It was like always like he was trying to think of what to say, and he just didn't have it ready there at the tip of his tongue, and it took him a little extra to get it out. And you're like, dude, just practice like the day before or something. What you're gonna say, man?
I swear, we were so into him though. I told these two, I was like, we love Sonny Siaki. I was a huge Sonny Siaki. He's like the one guy I'm always
Sonny Siaki and AJ Styles in this match, also in the first ever TNA match. Am I right?
That's very, very good trivia. This guy did his homework. They are the Flying Elvis Sonny Siaki.
Elvi.
Yeah, I thought he was good back then. I think he like degraded almost over the years or the months, I should say. Whatever. Where we 43.
I think Bill, did you bring this up that he kind of was trying to be too much like a Rock clone at this point? Was that?
Well, I think that's what everybody thought about him there, and you could tell like this is where I guess it was Russo for the most part really gave him the ball to because remember initially like he was the ace in the hole, like he was cutting 3 promos a show. Being in featured matches.
Yeah.
And I think they realized he kind of dropped the ball. And then they gave it to Glenn. Glenn's taken over that spot, and he's kind of an afterthought now.
That's so true, because they did start off with him being the guy to take over. Yeah, you're right. And I don't think they were ready. I think they're
like, ace in the hole, settle down.
So true.
Stick with Desire. She's the talent in this group.
Well, that's how bad it was when Glenn Gilberti, and I love Glenn Gilberti, but when they go to him, when he is like the guy that's like, okay, now he's gonna get pushed to the front, and you go behind him, you go behind Glenn. It's like, okay.
I love this.
Maybe this isn't the best.
I love Glenn Gilberti though. He was great in this era, but that's not doesn't speak well for our friend Sonny there.
Yeah, when like you have to go to the veteran to carry, it's like we tried giving the spot, you couldn't carry it with let the veteran handle it. Now it's like it's true. I'm so shocked when I see this now. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought this guy was like the Cat's pajamas at the time. Like, fuck, man. I am completely retreading on that one. But I don't know, Jay.
I think he shines more later, but I think he might have been just one of those guys that was a victim of, there were so many new people showing up week after week after week that were trying to get that spotlight once they showed up. And seeing as he was a day one guy, and it just kind of got pushed to the side by certain veterans. And of course there's political stuff going on in the back. It's like, oh, this is the new hot one that just showed up from ECW. Okay, we're going to feature him more. You know, it's just because there was such a loaded locker room. So
yeah, I think Big Dog here, B Dog, cracked the code on who the Johnny Swinger was.
I think he cracked it as well.
I think it's Kyle. You gave it away.
I'll say this though: the Johnny Swinger was on fire in the chat.
On fire. Hey, Swinger in the chat today was fantastic.
Too good. It either is Johnny Swinger was so good, or it's someone as talented as our own KL on the mic.
Dave, Johnny Swinger's resurgence as the guy stuck in 1988 has been one of the greatest characters to come out in the last year. It is some of the best shit. Watch it. Oh my god! Yeah, I think Bill, we got to send him the Wrestle House playlist on the YouTube thing.
Wrestle House stuff's great. You don't go wrong with a swing man segment. Oh. It's gold. It's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
I'm gonna give you about 25 to 30 total minutes of material to watch, and it just this will do it for you. Now, speaking of political, J-Bone, TNA with the famous sit down in the back with Conan and Ron Killings, and holy shit, does this get fucking hard to swallow around this?
Yikes!
Oh my god!
What did TNA do? What did he do to deserve this?
The abuse for Mike TNA here was incredible. So in short, they talk about the struggles and speed bumps. Well, Killings is mainly about that he's had, that Conan understands him, and they're not afraid to speak in their minds. A lot of racist allegations thrown out by both.
Yeah.
That everything's racist. Now don't act like it isn't. Why pretend it's not, TNA? And then he blames TNA for bias, and he's like, what would you do if you saw Ron and I walking towards you? You'd lock your car door. He goes, no, what if we came home with your daughter? He's like,
oh my god.
And he's like, no, you wouldn't. You'd lock your car door. You'd freak out. And he goes, but if Jeff Jarrett came down, like, hey, how y'all doing? Let's have a biscuit. You go have a biscuit with him.
A biscuit.
Let's have a biscuit.
Holy shit, man! This is getting tight. Like, what are we doing here? And then, he says, no, "There's no black." Okay, I will say this: at the time, he was right when he said there were no black promoters, there were no Hispanic agents. This is something Conan fought for even up until recently, right, Bill? Like, he was fighting for this up until an Impact, and then he was probably about one of the first Latino agents that Impact hired, because he was agenting a lot of the matches, especially when LAX was prime. The new LAX was going. He was an agent. He was helping some of the Lucha guys who were coming in. They had women doing women's stuff. They were really diversifying. So Impact started diversifying. But think about this. In 2003, he was pointing out the fact that none of the big companies ever had. And I get it. Like, how could you have Terry Taylor write for the Luchadors, be an agent for the Luchador matches in WCW? It didn't make any sense. So he was alluding to that kind of stuff. But he does definitely say there's no Hispanic commentators, there's no black commentators. And he goes, there's no black commentator. He's like, there's no black commentator. He goes, who? The coach. He goes, the coach ain't black. So I was like, oh shit.
And as soon as he said that, the crowd went, oh
yeah. The crowd heard him just, whoa shit. God damn.
I'll tell you, if they had our graphics, shots fired.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely was shots fired. Holy crap.
Your graphics are better than their graphics in 2003.
My God. Dave and I discovered at the time, I don't know how we learned this, Dave, but remember, we found that it was all JB doing it on the iMac.
Yeah, he had his little laptop and he was getting the paint program up.
And he was
spinning around, with the 3-dimensional.
You know how I think we might have confirmed it was we went to a house show where he was scouting. Do you remember this? Very vaguely remember this. We went to a house show where he was scouting for TNA, and we went and said hello to him. Hey, JB, but he was working on videos. He was working.
He was sitting at a table, with his computer. Yeah,
with his computer, and he was working on the Abyss entrance videos and all that. Whatever, he was doing something, and we went, but he was out there scouting it. I don't know. We went to so many indies in those days, but JB,
Yeah, they had nobody back then. It was just Borash doing everything.
He was doing everything. You know, they were flying him around to find talent. And he was, yeah, it was pretty cool. But this closes out very cringy though, guys, because they had to beep here. And he he says, "You motherfuckers better watch out because you have a S word and an N word here, and you guys, you're under attack or something like that." I was like, holy shit. This is, I mean, it was beeped out. I'm trying to remember, was it beeped out in the original broadcast? I can't remember that.
I don't remember.
I couldn't remember that, but my God, racial slang being thrown out very, and TNA just like, what did I do? Or today. My God. Well, thoughts on this? Thoughts on this, gentlemen? Like, what do you guys? I mean, watching it today, is it? I mean, it's got that realism to it, but man, was it a little hard to watch. What do you think, Dave?
Watching it today was definitely different than watching it 17 years ago. I don't know what we thought of it 17 years ago. If we were just laughing at them, or I don't know what it was that we were, how we took it back then. But to your point, he was talking about real stuff that still didn't get corrected even up until this day. It was interesting that they brought it out into a segment on the pay-per-view, on the weekly show. Like, I don't know if that was something that was really should have been on the show, or if it just should have been continued to talk about backstage. Maybe they thought it was gonna be more effective
crazy
long term if they brought it into the as a segment on the show, but they didn't. Yeah.
Now our buddy Adam Impact watches. I think he has the original broadcast. He's an old school NWA-TNA fan, and he says they were not beeped, and he fell out of his chair at the time. We might have done the same thing. We might have said, "Oh shit, pass the orange chicken."
Out the chow mein.
Pass the orange chicken. Oh my God, what did he just say? I need some more sriracha. All right. What do you guys think, Bill? Thoughts on that? A little tough to watch today.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. It's definitely different through today's lens, but this was much more commonplace. This was near the end that this was more commonplace because this was still very like late 80s through the 90s type of stuff. Like, because I know Dave was mentioning the whole New Jack. Like, his Dark Side of the Ring, they show his early stuff with like Cornette in those territories.
Oh my God.
He was cutting promos way beyond this.
Yes.
This is still, but they're just like this. That was like you're in like a redneck area and you kind of throw this stuff out there. This is like chum in the water. And this is how those guys did it back then. And then it got a little too
crazy,
politically corrected to cut these type of promos.
Isn't that crazy?
So yeah, it looks different today, but it does. Looking at it from then, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like that, like I don't think I would have fell out of my chair like Adam did. I think I would like, yeah, all right. Not a shock.
I'll tell you the one that Jay, the one that makes me fall out of my chair to this day is the New Jack one where he in Smoky Mountain, where he gets a shout out to OJ Simpson and he's like, "Hey OJ, shout out to my boy OJ, 2 less to worry about." I was like, what the fuck?
He went there.
I was like, what?
That's one of these.
Yeah. Mad heat though. Mad heat.
Yeah, that's the thing. You go heat, man. That's like Sam Adonis down in Mexico. Like he does like the Trump gimmick. He goes full Trump gimmick.
Wow.
He does.
Oh yeah.
Russo had him on his show a little while ago. Ask him about that, like how the death threats and all that stuff with doing that down there, because they still buy it pretty heavily down there. Now, here, interesting thing, we go from this to the cage dancers, Lollipop, and she's getting attacked by a mystery girl trying to get into the cage. But we could see who that is because that's my favorite knockout of all time, baby. All time favorite knockout.
Watch out, Nicole.
The wife of a friend of mine now. Frankie Kazarian's wife, Tracy Brooks.
Yep.
Tracy Brooks is.
I couldn't tell on this first segment who it was, but later on she comes back out and you can get a better look at her face, and I was like, that really looked like Tracy Brooks. And then I had to kind of like look it up. I kind of found some results site somewhere that was like telling me the rundown of the episode, and they confirmed it was Tracy Brooks. Like, okay.
It was Tracy Brooks, man.
It was real quick right before the 4-way.
Yep.
And so they showed her for a couple seconds and then quick cut away like, hey, what was that?
Yeah.
And then they showed more later and actually had the segment. So it almost looked like it was like wrongly timed or something. It was weird.
It kind of felt more real though. It for a second it did feel like a fan ran up. You know, you're kind of like because the way they cut to it, it's a little more natural, and it was kind of like, oh wait, that really maybe somebody if she put it this way, if she wasn't dressed up the way she was, I would have bought it more that it was just a fan who ran up there. And I want to address real quick, Sean Solomon. Does Wolfie D still wrestle? Wolfie D, as we know, is Slash of the New Church. Apparently he has a Twitter. We found it. We tag him on some of the throwback stuff. He doesn't go on it much. Apparently, from what somebody told us in the chat a couple weeks ago, he is going through some health issues. Not sure what it is. So I think he's just Wolfie D on Twitter. If you want to find him and throw him a shout out, please definitely go do because he was awesome back in these days too.
Yeah, I think it was reported that he was sick or something.
He was good. He was good in there.
Real good. What were you saying, Jay?
I think it was reported recently that he was sick, but I don't remember what it was.
Never heard exactly what happened.
I don't know.
They never said what it was exactly.
Yeah, it sounded pretty serious though. Like he was in pretty bad shape. But
haven't heard anything since. We go to a Raven promo. Now this is the beginning of the hype.
Good.
Oh, this is fantastic. Talks about his former allies, my current allies. Both want Raven because only Raven can achieve the most glorious prize, the NWA title. And this line was great. If you guys have any other lines, please share them. How do you stop a man that has fate on his side? Welcome to Raven's Clockwork Orange House of Fun. Great stuff. Great line. Awesome promo as always. Any other lines that you get stuck out on this one for you guys? Anything in particular?
I just wrote down very good.
This
I
was
loved
awesome.
it. I loved it. I loved it so much. He should have won. Anyway, we'll get to that later.
The main event is going to be a 20-minute segment in and of itself, guys. I'm just warning you right now. I have a lot to fucking bitch about when it comes to that one tonight.
And she was, I don't remember specifically what he was talking about, but I think this is the segment because they did a couple here. He took the candle, and as he was talking, he was dripping the candle
Yeah, that was this one.
into his hand, going back and forth for a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, what a crazy motherfucker.
Our friend of our show, Adam Impact, he confirms blood clot in the lung. I hope he's okay. Adam is Dave. Adam would be the guy who we would have hung out with for sure. He watched all these. He watches them again now. Nice. He watches them while he's working out. Like he's got the trading cards, which we never really got too much of the merch back then.
That's crazy.
The trading cards and all that. So he's got all that stuff, man.
Nice.
He joined us for the watch along last week and it was great.
That's awesome.
The 4-way X Division match here: Chris Sabin, Jason Cross, Shark Boy, and Jimmy Rave. My favorite. Oh my God, Jason Cross. Now there's the infamous Sabin botch is in this one.
Oh man,
he almost kills himself. Now I remember when this happened. I remember when we saw this, and we kind of didn't like him at the time because we're like, this kid's not ready. Like that was I remember was pompous fucking marks. Like he's not ready. Like 20
Who's
years
this
old.
kid? He thinks he can wrestle in front of our TV while we're eating Chinese food.
20 years old while we're sitting there going, oh, let me pass your chicken, bro. It was fucking hack. So tell me, okay, so talk about the botch. You guys, a lot of people are going off about the botch in the but go ahead, Dave, elaborate on what happened. Set it up.
This guy, so this was like his second week or something, or third week
second or third match
on the show. Really, they really were high on Chris Sabin, and how could you blame them? I mean, the guy had what appeared to be a huge future, and that ended up obviously coming to fruition. But the guy was just kind of like all over the place, and the spots he was trying to pull off, and they kind of TNA and West kind of corrected themselves or corrected the course of the match when they kind of brought up the whole like, hey, they don't call it high risk for nothing, and
they were still good at doing that.
What happened? Yep. And he goes to do a springboard something into the outside of the ring. I don't know if he's going to do a flip or just a double axe handle or something. Mm-hmm. And his right foot slips off of the top rope, and instead of springboarding himself, he just falls straight down to the ground basically. And I don't know if he rolled the right way or if he just got lucky or what, but he didn't seem to get himself injured. But he did a couple of those in the early matches that he was in. This wasn't uncommon for Chris Sabin back in the early Chris Sabin days, the Motor City guy. But it turned out to work out for him. But man, when we were watching him back then, we were like, If only he would just not mess up, he'd be great.
Because this isn't the first. It happens. I distinctly remember, Bill, with this. He has slips like this, like pretty often in the early days. I don't want to make it sound like he was just a complete botch fest, but he was trying a lot of high risk shit. Because he's 20 years old. He's trying to really prove himself right now. And lo and behold, it turns out. I mean, he ends up becoming he's a TNA Impact legend who just had the comeback of the year this year, which fantastic. But yeah, Bill, like it's interesting, right? Like to think that the guy we're thinking at the time is like, maybe this kid's not going to make it. This turns out to be one of the biggest stars ever.
Yeah, you look at a lot of like Paul London kind of came on the scene the same way a little while back. And these guys they're very young. They're all like 20, 21, 22. And as we're saying, like, WCW, ECW shut down. A lot of talent out there fighting for these jobs. So these young guys are trying to get on TV or pay-per-view, and they got to really make an impact, or they probably won't get booked again. So they're just kind of throwing caution to the wind. Like, look, Amazing Red.
Yep.
He was doing crazy stuff every week, and he keeps getting booked because he's that crazy. So I think Saban, that was like, you got to keep up with the Joneses type thing.
That's awesome.
Which what he was doing here. So they're like, you can do that. Maybe 70% of the time it's the right time.
Yep.
But you could have that 30% where you're going to get screwed up. Sure. Like we saw Jason Cross with your favorite finisher. He's already been out hurt.
Finisher. Yeah,
so he's already got that's an unnecessary risk he was taking. But hey, some people are like, it looks cool. Don West marks out for that every time.
Don West marks out for everything.
Yeah, he marks out for a chicken sandwich.
I forgot about that crossfire move. I called it the flippy leg drop. I was like, why is he flipping so much? It's just a leg drop.
That's exactly what I say. I say the same thing. It's you're hurting yourself more to just do a leg drop on a guy. Yeah. It makes no sense. J-Bone. Am I wrong? J-Bone's always defending goddamn Jason Cross. He's like, you're being too hard on the kid. He's always telling me I'm being too hard. He's just trying to make it. Give him a break. He never went anywhere from him. I'm like, no, screw that. That's why he didn't go anywhere. Too busy trying to do a fucking shooting star leg drop. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
That finisher is so painful to watch, and he misses again in this match.
Yep.
And the other worst, not only do you drop on your ass, whether you hit the guy or not, you're dropping on your ass, which is like, 10 times worse than a Hogan leg drop, which, completely jacks up your spine. He almost concusses himself in every move like this because he hits his head on the bottom turnbuckle full blast. It's like, you're an idiot for using this move. So, I mean, is he fun to watch? Yeah, but it's freaking painful for a guy like me. So, yeah.
Police, they're back.
The what?
Jason Cross wearing the shortest gold chain in history while he wrestles. That was like all those dudes, man. The gold chain, the barbed wire tattoo. J-Bone's got 3 of those. Like those early 2000s guys, all the Affliction T-shirts. Shit.
Early 2000s guy.
Early 2000s generic guy.
Oh yeah.
Frosted tips. But
Borat was sporting those up until 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hilarious.
Order of elimination, or Sharky pins Jimmy Rave. My notes literally read like this: Sharky pins Rave. Stupid move by Cross. Saban hits Future Shock and pins Cross. Saban Future Shocks on Shark Boy. So pretty much a vehicle to get Saban strong, right? Like they see the future in him. And obviously we know how that works out. But this was, Jimmy Rave also ends up having a little long-term with TNA. So he goes on to, he's been a little patchy. Yeah. He's been a little sporadic in here, right, Jay? Like he's maybe had about a handful prior to this.
Yeah, barely. But one thing I noticed is when they replay that Chris Sabin first botch, when he lands, they say he hit his head. If you watch the replay, his head flies into Jimmy Rave's shin.
Yeah, Rave takes a bump. Rave bumped it. He was like, I didn't think he hit him that hard, but he like made it like out as if it was like, okay, I'm gonna fall down.
And then And then Jason lands on Jimmy. So Jimmy's getting fucked up all over the place here. And then Cross, or not Cross, Sabin tries to do that move again, only the other way. And you barely see it, but Jason Cross comes up from behind and pushes Sabin off the top turnbuckle down to the floor. And it's... Dude, Sabin is just a hot mess in this. I mean, he, takes care of a couple finishes, which wins the match. But man, it's like, is he going to live through this match? Is what I'm thinking when I'm watching this. Like the first the botch, awesome. And then the death-defying just drop to the floor from Cross from behind. It's like, oh my god! But it's fun. It's still fun to watch. But I think part of that is why. Jimmy Rave. I mean, it could have been just natural order of elimination that they planned. But when Sabin hits Jimmy Rave was out like less than a minute later. So I'm thinking like maybe that's why he was out so quick. I don't know.
Could be.
It threw me off just real quick when Jimmy Rave got eliminated. I was like, what the hell is this, a 2-minute match? I completely forgot that it was an elimination match, even though they say it's an elimination match when they introduced it. And then I like paused it and I was like writing down. I'm like, this is a 2-minute match. What the hell is this? So I like unpaused it and they started wrestling. I was like, okay, good.
I thought the same thing. I was like, I kind of forgot that it was an elimination for a second. And I was like, Shark Boy wins?
Threw me off.
Yeah. We go to Goldilocks with Eric Watts in the back. Now we've been talking about Eric Watts has become a lost character. Started off hot, right, Bill? Like we had him prime attacking Jarrett. He was in that zone.
Looked great.
Fantastic.
He was intimidating. He was big. He cut some good promos. He had his faction with Brian and David Flair. But those guys have been MIA, so it's just him. And he's kind of, you're right, he's been lost. And now it's like, now what do you do with that lost person eventually? You go comedy. And this was like, he was a comedy character in this one. And that did not pan out.
No, because he started off so serious. Dave, you remember, you might not have seen this on your recast, but remember when Watts did that thing where he had like Urlacher and like Jim McMahon on?
Yeah. So he's wearing the Bears. He's always wearing Bears stuff. He had the Urlacher jersey in one episode. Then he had the Bears cap or whatever it was.
Yep.
This one.
John Daly, right, Bill? He had John Daly on. It was basically what like cameo before cameo because he was all actually friends with it because he played. Just as a recap, he was a star quarterback at Louisville. So like he knew all these guys. Like he semi-pro type stuff. So he had connections and he got all his videos on, but he was so serious, like targeting Jarrett all the time. And now it's just completely lost, like delusional that Jeff's his buddy and he saved him. He's got a huge match time. We have to get ready for that match time. He's smashing weapons around and Goldie's like, what the hell's going on here? We have a big match tonight. And he was definitely lit as fuck, as Rex is saying. Something was off here. But he was, Dusty comes in. He goes, I must be dreaming. You can say, he says, you got a line of bullshit. What did he say? You got a line of bullshit long enough that people are falling over. What was the line exactly? I wrote down half of it only.
People are stepping in it or something.
Yeah, people are stepping all up in it. But I love it in a very Dusty Rhodes way. He's like, you got a line of bullshit so long. Like, that was so classic. And then but he's like, and then Eric takes a little cheap shots at him. And he's like, hey, we're not cleaning. Hey, Dusty, come on, we're not cleaning out the closet. Lord knows the skeletons are gonna fall out of yours. And he's like, I got this belt. Yeah,
that was a cringe line, man. He delivers a lot of cringe-worthy lines, and I don't know if that was something that they practiced ahead of time or planned those lines, or if that was just like, hey, go out there and wing it. It was not working for me.
You could see Dusty wasn't even like feeling it. He struggled. And this is Dusty Rhodes, like one of the greatest top 5 promos of all time, and he was having a hard time saving this.
I get it there, hard time saving it.
Hard times. But he says, Dusty,
you're saying Eric Watts sucks eggs, is what you're saying.
Yes. But the funny thing was they got rid of the belt, the whole belt gimmick, right? Like David Flair stole Rick's belt. Mm-hmm. They're walking around with that. Somehow Eric Watts is basically now the handler of this belt. And then he's like, Dusty, I got a belt for you. It's a little bigger than that haymaker you got down there. But he goes, hey, how about this? It'll fit right here. And he gives him the title, And then Dusty's like, that's like crazy, this one crazy son of a bitch. But he goes, that belt looks pretty good on me, though. That was it. Now, here's the thing, and not to jump ahead, but here's the thing. They imply like Watts is going to have some involvement in this match later on. Like accompany Jeff out, cheat for him, something. What? This is the end of Watts on this show. This is it, J-Bone. Like, we don't see Watts at all after this. I am struggling to figure out who owed him money that they were like, we're gonna keep you on the show to like work this out somehow, or what the hell was this?
Now, I thought Don Callis had like an infamous match with him somewhere close to this, or somewhere after this, because that's what Don Callis, when he's on commentary now, or no, he was recently, of course. But he talks about that match that he had with Eric Watts. He always talks about that, and that hasn't happened yet.
Not yet.
Watts has got to come back at some point. But the way they ended this, like this gimmick, or what looks to be the end of this gimmick with him with the belt, yeah, because David Flair's gone, Brian Lawler's gone at this point, and just gives the belt over to Dusty. And Dusty has this real uncomfortable smile on his face, like, "Oh, let's just get through this shit, please."
He wanted to get it over with.
Yes.
It just wasn't. It didn't go anywhere.
No.
It led to nothing, and I was like, "Okay, that's it. What are we doing here?" But you're right.
He's
that
just
match,
banging the shit on the wall, and then Goldie's like, "Would you stop? What are you doing?"
I was saying that some of the stuff on this, as I was watching it again, really held up, and some of it didn't. This was one of the ones that really didn't. And in all three of the episodes I watched, they kind of had this storyline as part of those episodes, and it was I could have done without it. I feel like they were kind of throwing stuff on the wall to see what sticks with Eric Watts, and they were not.
Let's
finding
get more
the right...
creative, because we know what J-Bone's talking about, but there's also yet to come his angle with Goldilocks.
Yeah, there's that too. You know, there's a lot they tried with him though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is one of the numerous incarnations of Eric Watts. But his best one's that first one.
The first one.
Once he got away from Jarrett and his faction, it's gone. You never see it again.
The tragedy of it is he's been a victim of this his whole career. I think everywhere Eric Watts went, WCW, WWF, TNA, it's like they didn't know what to do with him. And he's not a bad talker. He's a tall guy. He's got a good look. You could do something with him if you sit down and concentrate what to do with him. He's a perfect manager. In my opinion, he could have been a great manager. But I'm sure the issue came up that he's too tall to be a manager. He'd outshine some of the guys who he manages.
Good point.
But I think you could have thrown him into Sports Entertainment Extreme at this time. And if you want to have like that leadership role, he could have been a good one to at least take that on.
Something more serious. The comedy stuff was just not really working. It was just not working.
Was there a video package after this? Because I my notes go right to the Goldie and Kash promo.
Yeah, so it went straight to Kash.
Went straight to Kash. Okay, so there must have been something in between the Watts and.
Oh wait! There was highlights from last week's #1 contender match.
That's what it was
between Red and Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So the Goldie's in back with Kash, and she's like, "You basically lost your title at Trinity," which I said last week he should have. They should have let Trinity take the belt.
That would have been cool.
How cool would that have been, Dave? At the time, like that would have been revolutionary. Like,
Trinity had major heat in that crowd. They had those signs. The Trinity just kicked your ass, or what did those signs say?
Yep.
Yeah, those were awesome. The people were really behind her back then.
The thing that gets me. Mm-hmm. So Bill and I were in Dallas this past January, where they gave Tessa Blanchard the world title, first woman to hold basically a men's title at this, or not truly a men's title, but like an Impact, first woman to hold the world title. Looking back, if you would have made Trinity the first X Division champion, it could have been very, very revolutionary for 2003. It would have been fantastic. Now I know that WWE did it with China with the Intercontinental belt, right? So they kind of did take that chance first, which was a Russo thing. That was a Russo idea. Russo's here at this time. I'm shocked they didn't push for that more here, because the match was fantastic. You could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
I do like that he's making excuses. You know, he's playing up like a heel. He said that he's like, I still own Trinity, and she doesn't, you know, she's not under contract TNA. She's under contract to me, and I've suspended her without pay. And he says, and Goldie's like sassing him the whole time, right? And he's like, "You're kind of a smartass." And he goes, "I might make you my next project."
Yeah.
Months after I do, and I'll do away with Red. So that was Goldie's very sassy here. Goldie, who also hit on J-Bone, strong, hard, made him blush on when we had her on. Dave, she said, "You know, you look like you remind me of a Robert Downey Jr. a little bit." And this
come on now,
this man, this good old God-fearing Wisconsin suburban white man turned a shade of red that I have not seen since I was shopping for pasta sauce at Mariano's. You know what I'm saying? Like, unbelievable. This red as hell. Red like one of your lollipops, J-Bone. He was sweating. Unbelievable. He had to go on mute for like a half hour.
Go ahead.
I drank 2 energy drinks before this, I was tired, and so about halfway through this, the rush kicked in, so I'm sweating my brains out, and then she busts this line on me, and I'm like, I went dead silent, like I did not know how to respond. I was nervous as it is because this was a big interview because we talk about Goldie every single week. So we're always talking about how we love her and what she's doing. And Iron Bone. Jiminy Christmas. So
that's great.
That one really
fantastic.
That whole interview, you got to go listen to it if you haven't listened to it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find that for sure.
She goes completely off the rails and just shocks us with so many things that she talks about from back then.
I'm gonna for sure listen to that. That's awesome.
She was so cool. Yeah,
and Trent's right. He did get as red as getting back to this backstage segment as the red is the hemorrhoid that will not go away. That is Amazing Red.
Even when he put the ointment
he is that
on.
little prick.
Even when he put the ointment down.
The ointment. What a great detail. Even with the ointment.
Kid Kash had some problems back there. He had to go visit Mr. S.
Somebody made a Morton Downey Jr. reference in the chat. I love Morton Downey Jr.
Downey Jr.
I was watching a clip.
Wrong Downey Jr.
They're like, no, she meant Morton Downey Jr.
Morton, yeah. That would have been amazing if she actually meant Morton Downey Jr.
Well, Morton Downey has a history with wrestling as opposed to Robert Downey.
He does. I was watching last night on YouTube, speaking of Morton Downey. I'm a big fan of Tom Likas, the old radio show host from out of LA. And it was a clip of him on Morton Downey Jr.'s show in like 86. And it was like radio, like rebel radio jocks. And like Morton Downey just drilling them all. Yeah, scumbag, I'll kick your ass. So fucking good. I highly recommend watching the Morton Downey Jr. documentary, Evocateur. It's free on YouTube, actually.
There you go. Because I think Kalon, I assume Morton Downey Jr. is his like spirit animal.
Yes, totally. I imagine Kalon. He's only 25, but I'm sure he has seen Morton Downey Jr. He's an old soul. All right, let's keep going. We can do a whole show about Morton Downey Jr. clips. They're great. Okay, now this gets me now. This is Red and Kash for the X Division title, right? Crowd is hot.
Oh, I wrote that. So hot. Yep.
So hot for this. I mean, because at this point, think about this. They have built Kash to some major heat with the Trinity thing. Like they hate him at this point. Great match, back and forth. The Masked Luchador comes out, and this Masked Luchador who's been on for a couple weeks now. This is clearly a girl, right? Like
this is clearly a different Masked Luchador.
This is not the same Masked Luchador.
Clearly somebody that should be home in
Brooklyn, New York.
Home unpaid.
Unpaid
It was like
leave.
so obvious this was.
Oh my god! Like just the way, like it was a woman.
The Spider-Man tights were very tight around the assets.
I mean, I found myself checking out Spider-Man at this point. You know, I was like, I wasn't expecting to do that.
Spider-Man.
They did definitely not. They tried to hide it. It looked like they maybe padded the top part to make it look like a man's top part or something, like more muscular or something. I kind of
make it look so awkward. It looked like a robot.
On the weird.
Yeah.
Very strange. This was another one where the music guy cut Red's music short. It was like, and I was like, what? But, it was great though. You get a ref bump, okay? And this one, I'm like, did we really need all this going on? This was a little overbooked. The ref bump lasted way too long to me, to the point where you had all the back and forth. The mass luchador comes out, interferes, and then Andrew Thomas proceeds
takes forever to come back.
Well, it takes forever, but what was with the 3 count here? It's like 1, 2, and it's like half the crowd's like, was that a 3? And it's like, even the fucking bell ringer was like, was a 3? Oh, okay, it was a 3.
It almost felt like they were all waiting for like another spot.
Exactly.
Like because he waited an extra 10 seconds, which felt like an eternity, to turn around after the move was done, and then the luchador left. So I don't know if it's just he thought it was going to transpire over a lot longer period of time. There was some type of cross connection going on there.
Yes, it was.
I just could not figure out that. I was like, yeah, you're right. I think like Andrew Thomas must have been thinking that Kash was going to kick out here, and there's supposed to be another spot or something that's supposed to actually end the match. But
yeah,
because it was the weakest 3 count. Because I think he was thinking he's going to kick out, but it was a count through, and that was it. It was so anticlimactic though. Like I was like,
I'll tell
that's
you.
It.
To be honest with you, I didn't even I missed that. Quite honestly, I thought this match should have been on a different episode. I thought I was really I wanted to get to the Raven Jarrett match, and this match deserved more than 10 minutes. Was it like 9 something or something like that?
9:47 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. This match. I mean, I think they could have gone on another 10 minutes for sure. These 2 guys.
I agree. This one should have been on a different episode. And in looking back, it's a little odd forecast, right? You see a title change here, you're like, man, they're going to change two belts tonight. You know, like it kind of makes you think, like, I don't think they're going to change 2 belts, right?
That's
Jay?
the thing. It's like this is to not go over that whole ordeal of no title change tonight.
Yep.
But did you see kind of how it ended? He loses the belt, and as they're like leaving, like Kid Kash is just standing there with a smile on his face.
Was he real? I didn't catch that.
As they exit to go to the next segment, it's just Kid Kash standing there smiling. You lost your title.
Upset. No, I think it's one of those like kind of upset smiles. Like the match was not. It was a totally botched.
And that's what it could be. It could have been frustration with how everything played out.
I think it was.
I wonder if it was. Yeah.
I think it just something didn't go to plan. He was kind of just like that. Really? That's how we're gonna end it. Like that sucked. Something like that.
We need a James Mitchell fight right now. Who booked this shit?
Who booked this shit? We don't have that bite back yet. Damn it. I wish we did. This has become one of my favorite ones. I got to say
that son of a bitch.
Like that's one of my favorite ones. But the finish of this one, I will say,
yeah, this is horrible.
That definitely is that one for sure. I didn't like the finish for what should have been a very big moment for Red. I just felt like it was anticlimactic. So
yeah.
Anyway, we get some random roster comments about the match coming up with Raven and Jarrett here. Harris, Mitchell, Sanders, Dusty. I think D'Lo at one point was in there too. Just adding to the importance of this match. It was kind of like, man, the roster's even talking about it. Again, put yourself in 03, right, Jay? Like in those times, simpler times. You're watching this thinking like, man, the roster's talking about this. This is a big deal.
The awkward one is Mike Sanders.
Yeah,
because he goes a little. He goes very shooty,
brother.
And then okay, let me put on my game face here. All right, coming up, and then he just goes, full on promo. But he talks about you piss off some people in the back, you get knocked down the cart a little. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus.
What's he talking about? Why is he saying that? And then he does the Hogan bit, and it was like spot on. I'm like, man, that's great. That was great. What's he complaining about?
So
I love Mike
trying
Sanders.
to like redeem himself by doing that, or just it was awkward, but it was funny at the same time.
He owns now. Like he did some comedy for a bit. No, he was such a talented guy, super talented guy. Left wrestling, and he owns like one of the biggest party bus companies in Atlanta right now. Like he's like a party bus guy. Russo's still very good friends with him. He keeps trying to get him to do a show because he is like the ideal podcast host. He's such a charming guy. He did briefly have a show with Disco early days of the Russo, Pyro, and Ballyhoo website that they used to have. But he's so good at talking, but he's just so busy with his job. I don't know if party buses are a thing right now. Maybe it started right now during the COVID era, but that's what Mike Sanders is doing. He's like really, really successful. Did some acting also, so good for him.
I need to get on the Mike Sanders party bus.
We definitely we gotta get an Impact taping in Atlanta and get the party bus going. Bill.
When quarantine is over,
let's do it.
Everyone's going to Vegas. We're going to Atlanta to Mike Sanders party bus.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Bill was there right before the lockdown. He was there for Impact tape in Atlanta. That was the last taping.
Nice. Oh wow.
Yeah. And that was the last. We got to get that party. But next time they go to that Roxy or Coca-Cola Roxy, Bill, we got to get the party bus. I'll go with you.
All right, we're party bus with Mike Sanders.
The crazy fan jumps in again on Lollipop, but this time Lollipop gets a little pissed off, and so the fan gets into the cage, starts dancing. We see now Tracy Brooks, Tracy with an I, Brooks. That's Shane Douglas like to call her,
Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks. And Lollipop cuts her promo. She goes, "Yo, man, I'm sick of this shit. My job's to dance. You want to fucking get it on?" Crowd loves her.
It's a good promo.
It was good promo.
She did
for a
good.
girl who never cut her promo.
It was good. Hey, maybe she practiced.
Yeah. She's like, I am TNA.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, she definitely got everybody going. We're talking about right now, Rex. We talked about it earlier too.
The answer is yes.
Where were you at?
Yes.
We did talk about it earlier. But no, she gets in there. She challenges her. She goes, "You want to get it on? Let's get it on right now." She challenged her to a fight. I thought it was going to be a full-on match, but they just kind of get broken up. But this is the debut.
Don says,
"What do you say?
Children, cover your ears."
Oh yeah,
faces or eyes or.
It was intense though,
because we know what happened last time there was one of these, and that was when the top got ripped off.
That's
That's
right.
what he's referencing to. So I was watching this, and he starts talking like that. It's like, is Lollipop?
That had to be one of Trent's favorite moments on Dave's couch.
Yeah,
let's leave the couch out of it.
Leave the couch out of it.
A
couple of guys. Now we have to be respectful. The now missus was in that room with to behave ourselves a little bit.
Did you talk about this? My wife, who was back at that time, obviously we were not married yet. She'd be at my parents' house watching with us, and she'd usually fall asleep on the couch behind us while we were watching this.
While we're marking out.
It turned out she was gathering this information through osmosis or something that like she'd know more about what was going on than we did. It would come up like weeks later and she'd be like, "That was AJ Styles in that match." We'd be like, "The hell are you talking about? Like, how do you remember that?" And she would be right. Yeah, I don't know. She would
bust out knowledge, and it was probably my favorite my favorite moment of them was that she would correct us on shit that we would think happened like a month. Like, no, it was Eric Watts who ran. She goes, "No, it was Jeff Jarrett who ran in. He got hit with the guitar, and then AJ Styles drop kicked him." Remember? Like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, weren't you asleep? How the fuck did you know that?" Like, she would correct us constantly, and it was amazing, fucking fantastic. I bring that up to her like at least every time I will see her, I'll come up to her like
that is true.
She's like, well, she usually asks me, "Are you still doing that wrestling thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You still watching wrestling? No, she doesn't say that. She's very nice.
So at the time, she was actually the biggest mark in the room.
She was gathering it all. She was gathering all of it.
Subconsciously.
All
just
of it.
Stored in the brain.
I did like it because Nurse Nicole does this too. I did like that she would, when the occasional woman would pop up, you would get the comment of like, she's not that good. She's not that. Like, why do they let her in there? Like things like that. Nicole does the same thing. She's not that good. Really? Is she considered hot now? Is she considered one of the hot ones? Like, really? But gotta love women when they get a little get that competitive edge with the other knockouts. I love that though. But shout out to Katie. Shout out to KV. Thank you very much for she's asleep.
She's asleep.
Talking wrestling. She's like, "I'm out of here. It's over." The night's done. All right. So now we're this is it. We're getting to the main here, guys. All right. So we get the bunch of video recaps, right? The Destiny video, the Jeff Jarrett video. If you missed the last couple of months, you got your recap, right? So it's this is the recap. This is all the clips, everything. And so now you're caught up. And this is it, man. Raven, Jarrett. But to me, the first note of Raven's music felt like a big deal in this moment. It just like that, the second it started, JB calls the intro, and then that down, down, down. I was like, oh shit. And the crowd's just immediately hot. Like they are right away into it. Jarrett comes out. I felt, okay, give me your thoughts. I thought the crowd was like 60-40 for Raven. What do you guys think? Or was it really split? There's a lot of still Jarrett fans in this too. I want to say 60-40. What do you guys think in the chat too? Give me your thoughts, Dave.
I think that's pretty accurate. I think that's okay. I think it was about that. I mean, I think it was leaning towards Raven more heavily than Jarrett, but it wasn't like everybody was towards Raven. I thought, I mean, we knew Raven was going to win this match. Absolutely knew 100% for sure, without a doubt, Raven was going to win this match. I mean, so that's just us. But
yeah,
I think in the crowd they were about that. What you said.
That's what I thought. I mean, we were all convinced this was it, you know. But Bill, what do you think? By 60-40, it's a lot of Jarrett fans.
I think you're pretty close on 60-40. I would say it definitely the louder, more opinionated, more vocal, more just crazy fan was Raven fans. The grandmoms and the kids, they were there for J Double, but that was about it. Because his fans were not nearly as loud. Like it felt 50-50. Like it was like 75-25 due to the energy of the Raven fans.
Oh yeah,
but they were there. It was Raven was definitely ahead, but I go back to the AJ Styles world title match, and it felt very similar there. There were definitely more AJ fans you could hear than him, and I thought AJ should have won at that time. And then this time you're feeling that same thing. It's like that crowd. It's a lot of the same people, and I think they're kind of getting tired of the same old shtick.
They're a little tired of Jarrett at this point. What do you think? Are we off here? I know you're a Raven guy, but did you catch 50-50, 60-40? Where are you at?
Depending on where we were at in the match, to me, it felt like at one point it was all Jarrett, and then all of a sudden it would switch. It was going back and forth. Like you'd hear more cheers for Jeff, and then you'd hear Raven. It was pretty split, I'd say.
Yeah. How do you feel the crowd was at the end of the match? Can we talk about that really quick? Because we're talking about crowd. Or do you want to save that till later?
Let's go through. We'll save it till, that's a good question to bring up, though. I did note something at the end as well. So let's talk about that when we get into it. The face-off to me is probably one of my favorite TNA moments. Like that face-off spot, and the crowd is just hot. The background. It's the
background.
It's the background of the show, yeah. And it's fantastic to me. Like that summed up for us watching every week. It was like we went with this ride, and it all built to that face off, and I absolutely was like prime. We were prime for Raven. Like it was just like, come on, this has to be. But I felt, looking back at this now, 17 years later, did you guys feel there was a little too much interference early? Like right away, De Niro and Alexis got involved quick, like right off the bat. They were in there. I don't know, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that too, but I'll tell you this: the way that they handle that sort of thing, I mean, that's kind of your classic. They'll interfere, but then the ref comes back and throws them out. And I thought that if they were to continue that, that would have played nicely. You know, you had the kind of Raven interference at the beginning, but then now the ref is throwing them out. And now you've got the clean match for the rest of the however long it was going to be, 15 more minutes or whatever.
Makes sense.
So I was kind of okay with it, but yeah, it was a little early. But they were there. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
That's how they do.
But Bill, Bill's seen a lot of wrestling live, especially J-Bone. You've seen a lot of wrestling for years. I have to say, and I think this is a testament to Raven also, but I think this is probably Jeff Jarrett's best match I've ever seen.
Ooh.
Like I mean, he's had matches with Razor and those classics in WCW and stuff, but you know, he's had some great matches with Flair. I just feel, to me, I think it's the best match he ever had. I truly I think Raven brought an energy out of Jarrett that I've never seen before, despite what ended up happening at the end. Give me your thoughts on this. Let's start with J-Bone on this one.
I feel like the camera work in this match could have been a little better because they both get busted open pretty early in the match. And what's funny is my first like big memory of this, watching it back, is Raven at one point, like, okay, so Jarrett's down next to the stairs, just off camera. Raven stands there, the camera's on him, and you visibly see him pull a blade out of his tape.
Oh, really?
And lean down and gives it to Jeff and then walks away.
Yes.
So the camera's still on Raven. It's like, oh, so and
I
then
wrote it down.
yeah, and then
You had that. I didn't even see that.
and
What the
then
hell?
Jarrett comes up and, oh, look, he's bloody now too. And that's right when he hit Jeff on the steps.
Yeah.
So and it's
did not
so
even
so yeah,
catch
that's timed a little bad
Common
there.
trend in this era.
Wow.
You brought that up in one of the other episodes I was listening to, 41 or 42. J-Bone said the same thing, and I noticed that in this one. And Raven's obviously got the tape all over his hand, so he's obviously, got it there. And he he put Jarrett right into the steps, and then he kind of walked over to him, and here
Just
you go.
handed it to him. I did totally.
It's a combination of bad camera work, as Jay said, and the performer's not knowing where the camera is. Like it's just they're so blatant in the blading and stuff.
You see him there pull the tape
That's
off,
exactly it.
and then they quick switch cameras, but you still see like it's like the wide angle, but you see see Raven bend down to him and get up. It's like,
Really? Son of a bitch,
you
I missed
gotta
that.
have pride in your craft. It's like a magician, pretty much like trying to saw the woman in half and just like showing you it's like two different people. Like it's like, come on.
It's like, holy shit! I didn't.
you gotta have stuff planned out a little bit better back then. But look, I mean, it's a Wild West back then. Everybody's doing everything crazy. My only
But
way
still,
to fix that.
it's TV product. I know it was 17 years ago, but it's still 2003. It's not 1983. I'm not giving it a pass. I think this is lazy, very lazy.
Yeah. You could have had a little more attention to. Oh, quick cut to the fans for a couple seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I know it was live, but that's why you have a producer. That's why you have Keith Mitchell in the truck.
Keith Mitchell in the truck.
Did they replay Keith?
Yeah, like no one spots are going. Be like, oh, he hit his head on the steps. All right, now cut to the fans.
That's crazy. I did not. I didn't. I'm gonna go back after we're done. I'm gonna go take a peek.
It's right after he put him face first into the metal steps, and then I think he picked him up to lay him down on the table right after, or something like that. And because he laid him down face up, you could see that he was cut. So then they made a comment about it. But yeah, could. What Jay was, he totally had his hand over here by his other hand, and
and they have a lot of great action afterwards that kind of takes your attention away from it.
And
But
that's
now
what
that
happened
we're
with me.
focusing heavily in the review, you got to point it out. But they quickly then detour. Like on some of these other ones, like they did this multiple times at a match, so like you can't ignore it. But this one was just kind of it's a small moment there, but it's still evident.
Yeah, and please don't don't take that as my opinion is that ruined the match for me. No, the match is incredible, and I gotta say,
I was gonna say
the action at the action at the beginning with Raven.
Yeah,
excuse me, the action at the beginning with Raven, and they actually show Jarrett visibly upset, like, "Whoa, this motherfucker's actually wrestling me." He wasn't expecting.
It was awesome.
So
that was great.
That storytelling in the first part of the match, tremendous.
Yep.
It's one of their. I would put this as a top 5 Raven match and Jeff's best match ever. There was a different element to this, and the build is a part of that. But you had a lot. You continue with the interference. So Sex comes down. They brought the church at ringside. Team Extreme comes down, which I think he calls me Extreme Revolution at this point.
Yeah, I think
right?
he does. Yeah.
They come in. And they're standing behind, and they kind of go over. They kill Jarrett, like they're just brutalized Jarrett. And this was kind of getting because I'm like, this is that Superman Jarrett thing again.
You always have to have the Superman.
Because I'm like, he's taking everybody's finish, and then he gets handcuffed. But here's the shining star. So he's getting handcuffed, and he's getting fucking just getting killed, right? But the star of this whole moment is Mike Tenay. The way Mike Tenay is selling the anguish of a man being handcuffed and beaten down by a gang of thugs, I felt sorry for Jarrett in the moment, just hearing today, because, and we talk about this all the time, and this is not me dogging Josh Matthews or anybody, but man, this is a lost art to sell a moment like this. Because we've had so many moments on Impact, even right now, that we're like, man, that could have used that like emotional commentary. Like draw me in. Don't just give me a move by move. Give me an emotion. TNA, you could tell TNA felt like he was in there taking the shots with him. That's how it came off to me. And unbelievable. I was like,
an admirable job by Mike TNA.
Oh, phenomenal.
I didn't agree with anything he was saying, but it was admirable. No. I'm like, freaking keep those cuffs on them. Don't ever let them out.
Just kill them.
Just beat the shit out of them.
Good.
He did. I was going to say, before that handcuffs section of the match, he was doing all sorts of things that you would never expect out of Jeff Jarrett. And kind of to your point of, could this be considered one of his best matches ever? I think it could. He did. I wrote this down. He did a flying elbow drop off the second turnbuckle to the outside of the ring to Raven, who was on a table.
Never saw it before.
Jeff Jarrett did this.
That's why. I think Don, before he even finished the move, was like, "Get the replay. Get the replay."
That's amazing.
You'll never see that again.
And you're right. I think at that point, Rudy kicked out Julio and Alexis, but then all those other guys came in and started beating the hell out of each other and stuff.
So intense.
A lot of stuff going on.
So intense. But Raven also, just the anguish. He's DDTing him. He cannot get this guy down, and he looks frustrated. He's bleeding. Ravens is an artist, man, no doubt. And at this point, I think I remember watching with at this point, I think it hit us that this is not going to happen. Yeah. I don't think when he kicked out of the fucking DDT after being cuffed, I was like, oh man, don't tell me this is good. Like, put it this way, guys. I'm going to tell you guys something here. I know actually, but I want to say it for just 1 second. The lights go out. This is a classic move now, Bill. Bill's been there from the ECW arena for many of these.
This is when it started. The ECW arena.
It started with the lights out guy, and he almost missed his cue by a little late.
He almost.
He missed. You're being really generous right now.
He missed the cue. He was not fully in the ring.
He had 1 foot in the ring.
He was just still crawling up.
Sabu. He might as well have been eating a hamburger on the outside of the ring. Whoa, is that me?
Oh shit, am I having in the ring right now? Oh shit, bro. Sabu comes in. Crowd does react. Crowd does react. It's still Sabu. He had been on it before, but it's nice to see him back. He is late. I think they're all just like edgy, like turn the lights back on now. Like just lights back on. And he nails Raven. So the interesting dynamic here is that he turns on Team Extreme. And Raven still gets him, like after that, it still gets a DDT on him. And Jarrett does that kick out that I hate. The 1-2, and it's that like arm raised.
Yeah. It's not a real kick out. It's just kind of like you put your arm up.
I hate that so much.
Hang on. Reverse really quick. Sabu comes in, gets a pop from the crowd, screws up the entrance, does some kind of thing to Raven, then runs the hell out of the crowd and knocks the shit out of somebody in the crowd.
Takes
out somebody like crazy, continues to run away. Jarrett's still handcuffed. Raven continues to then just turn back to Jarrett to pummel him. I don't know what the point of that Sabu and interference was, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah,
at that point,
the Sabu you're talking about when Sabu he takes out Team Extreme, runs away, jumps on the railing, he lands in the second row, completely takes out a lady,
obliterates somebody. My God,
bad, real bad.
And then he runs away, but Jarrett's still handcuffed. I was like, what is going on? And Raven just turns to Jarrett and just continues to beat the shit out of him.
And then you had Bill Barons come out with the key, which I like the little detail of Mike today. He's got the universal key, like let you know it's not a plant that it's like, hey, there's
typical Rudy.
Typical Rudy.
Handcuffs off.
So Raven gets them off, and then Raven like it
was a good save.
Yeah, like the save he does further. It's like, no, come on. No, like he basically plays it up like, no, I'm not going to beat you like that. Like, come on. Even though
it was totally impromptu. I think Rudy couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Rudy couldn't do it.
I agree. That's what I thought exactly.
But Raven playing it up like, I'm not going to beat you like that. I'm going to beat you. Come on, go on, handcuff. Okay, like making it look like I'm tougher than you to do it. But shit, man, my notes literally read like this: Raven effect, reversal, stroke wins, question mark, fuck you is what my notes say.
That's the appropriate answer to that.
And literally my notes literally Raven effect reversal, but Raven effect stupid one arm raise, Raven effect attempt again, reversal, stroke wins, fuck you. Crowd throws garbage, people unhappy.
Yes. Yep. I wrote that. Crowd seems
now
pissed.
the crowd is 90%
Yes.
Raven.
Yes. I put crowd seems pissed.
That was it. That was how we went off there. But man, we were so deflated.
Well, Dusty comes in to try to save it.
Yeah, Dusty comes in to try to cheer it up, and
it was like when I was in Philly at the Rumble, and they had to throw the Rock out there to save Roman from getting booed by the Philly
Interesting.
fans.
Was that the last one of that company you attended? Was that the last time you were at one of theirs? That I'd imagine
maybe a house show after that, but I think pay-per-view wise probably.
So Dave, you and I were so deflated by this. You know what we did afterwards, guys?
Shame.
We put on an ECW compilation DVD right after this, like that probably had Raven in it. I think, like just to make up for this, what we just saw.
Like wash it off of ourselves,
That's
like Ace Ventura in the shower. We're like,
That's literally what we did. We put on a ECW DVD to just feel better about what we just saw.
That's the problem. It was a great match, but totally killed by typical JJ shit.
Can I tell you why here? So I gotta tell you why I didn't like this so much. And watching it again, and again, I don't remember what they had Raven doing after this, like how he was involved in the program or how long he was. But for 3 months, they built Raven up, and if they did it the right way, they could have dragged that out even longer, right? So they could have. The problem with how they finished this match is that they showed Raven doing all the Raven things, meaning all the interference, the Team Extreme coming out, and he still couldn't beat Jarrett. So now it's over. Now it's over. If you had Jarrett, you could have gone two ways. You could have had the ref kick out Julio and Alexis, and you could have had a clean match. And at that point, you could have had Raven win clean. That would have been something, right? Raven beats Jarrett with clean, with no other further interference. That would have been great. Then you could have had it, Raven defend a couple times, maybe have Jarrett try to win it back at the next, big event or whatever. Or you could have had the dirty finish and Raven could have won. And now you have another 3 to 6 months of Jarrett trying to get back at him because he didn't win the belt the right way, right? So you could have really dragged it out, in my opinion, and continue to have Raven, put the company on Raven's back, which they really should have done. And now, how do you do that? He threw everything he had at Jarrett. He bled in the AJ match. He brought all his friends out. He did everything, man. But now he still lost. So it's like, what are you going to do? Why should he have did he have a rematch after this? I don't even know.
No rematch, I don't think. He doesn't get the belt till Slammiversary 05, 2 years later. He wins it in a very good match, but you're in Florida at that point. It's a whole different. It's a King of the Mountain match. It's a whole different element at that point. But that was it. Like you're right. I'm 100% with you on that. You could have put it on his back and let it run with it. Like you could have built a new guy here and have Jarrett, because there's more money in the chase. There's always more money in the face chasing the heel. Always has been.
And the beauty of it was Raven, he's the guy who's been, everyone knows him, but he wasn't washed up by any means. You know what I'm saying? He was there, man. His promos were fire. He was doing good stuff. And I wish they would have continued restock that Raven tee. I wish they would have continued with that the program with Raven as they had it. And again, I'll watch a couple more episodes after to see what happened to Raven, because I don't remember, but
he sticks around. Like he's there for he's several years, right?
I'm even more curious now because of this finish, is because they talk about what's coming next week, right before this match.
Yep.
They said that there is a gauntlet for the gold.
Yes.
And it's an Anarchy in the Asylum match, which is going to feature former WCW, ECW, and WWF champions. So it's like, Yeah. So that sounds like, I'm going to use, Trent's favorite word that I've come to adopt, and even in my podcast too, wonky. So
Wonky.
it sounds like a wonky match. So does Raven get his revenge in what they're previewing for next week? I don't know, because like there's got to be some redemption here for Raven, I would think. Or was Raven so unpredictable at this point that was Raven so unpredictable at this point that Jeff Jarrett felt like he had to have this finish? You know, I don't know. There's not a lot of gray here. I figure it's got to be a little bit of both. I don't know.
It's something I know. Like, we heard about Raven had some personal demons around this time. Maybe they didn't trust him running with it, you know. And
that was an excuse.
That could be. I mean, yeah, all the stuff we didn't know back then, but obviously, you know, we were playing Booker on the couch there, just saying this is what they should have done. And as I'm thinking about it, as I'm watching it again, I'm like, man, that would have made so much sense to have one of those types of finishes that I mentioned, and then it's could have continued with Raven rather than kind of, you know, move on, because it really would have felt, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Let's not talk.
Yeah, I guess it's all water to the bridge. Yeah. But that was it, guys. That was 43. One of the most famous moments in TNA Impact history. To this day, it's still one that gets put into the compilation videos. It's definitely one that is still talked about because of this. It was the art of how you build a match. This summed it all up. Like, how you build the match. Because the proof was there. They had a 2-time over sellout crowd because you built it so well. And you're like, if you really want to build a match, this is proof of how you do it. The method works. You don't have to rush everything on TV every week. You can stretch it out 2 months, but you make people want it. And
you do it right. Yeah, if
you do it right. The proof's in the pudding, man. It's there. But that was it, man. That was episode 43. I'm so happy, Dave, you came on. I'd like you to come on again. I mean, you seem like you had fun doing this.
I wrote notes. Look at me. I've got paper notes.
I've
got a Word file that I put.
Yeah, we have to see what other T-shirts you decided.
My goodness.
He's got some T-shirts. He gave me a few, but he's got a very rare one from around this time.
Which one was that?
You still have that CM Punk one that everybody wanted? The G.I. Joe one?
I might have that one still.
There's a CM Punk G.I. Joe T-shirt that like he bought early, 02, 03. That everybody wanted,
I think, because he was on MCW all the time with
all the time.
Yeah,
crazy stuff. But no, Dad, I'd love for you to come back on again. It'd be a blast. But man, it was. But that's it, guys. Thanks in the chat for hanging out. That was awesome. A lot of feedback on this one. I looked forward to this one for a long time. Jay, first time watching it. Thoughts on this? This is you're the first time go around on this.
This feels like a really big moment for the company.
It was, yeah.
It's because they're trying to bring in viewers. You could tell that there's a method to their madness throughout the episode. They show reviews a little more often these last several weeks, and this is like a really big page in the company. The funniest part that I took off of the ending of this is you could tell how pissed off the heel section, which is on that one side of the
Remember those guys? They'd be at shows in Chicago too. Those fucking assholes.
The heel
section shirts.
The heel section is so mad at the end of this match. They take their pile of signs and they all go flying in the ring at once, and they hit the ref in the face. It's hilarious.
They were pissed.
Oh,
that's good stuff.
And the camera's going past, and these three guys are hanging over the railing going, "This is bullshit," and then they quick cut away from them. Oh my god.
Yeah, they were pissed. They had shirts. Those guys would show up at Indies in Chicago. It was amazing.
Those guys had the SmackDown spoilers, right? They would put the SmackDown spoilers on the sides.
Yes,
that was them. Nunzio beat Benoit. Like that. SmackDown sucks.
SmackDown sucked this week.
Oh man, those guys are great. All right, let's get some plugs in. That's where I wrap that. The little extended throwback today. Let's start getting some plugs in here. Dave, you're not much of a social media guy.
I'm not on the social medias. I don't want to plug nothing. I'll tell you this. I don't have any social medias, but this was definitely fun. Let me know in advance so I can make some room to
you got it.
around my kids play baseball and etc. So I would be happy to come back anytime. This was a hell of a time last couple of weeks watching some old episodes. I was telling Trent earlier, I think I've watched more Impact Wrestling the last week or two than I have in the last several years combined, and watching some of the new episodes too, as a matter of fact. So it's kind of getting me back into it. So very happy to be here. Yep.
On a personal note, you're one of my best friends. I've known you for 21 years. The fact that I get to do these throwbacks reminds me of a very fun time in our lives together.
Sure.
It was a very special time for us to go to wrestling shows. A very little responsibilities. This is what we did. We had a lot of fun in life, and for you to be on this one, and this is a very special one, is an honor for me. And I love you like a brother to me. So I thank you for coming on. And
nostalgia.
As soon as this COVID shit's over, we're gonna get some Lou Malnati.
Yeah, that's right. Forget that. We're going to Atlanta. Party
You're
bus.
going to Atlanta. I'm going to the party bus.
Sanders.
On that note, Bill, where can I get your plug in here, please, for the audio folks? Where can they get you?
Oh, yes. They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at my name at William M. Gardner, Gardner.
And the Instagram will be pumped up this weekend.
It's going to be pumped up. It's going to be the traveling. It'll be my travel log.
Nice. All right. Cool. And then Jay, get your plugs in here for your stuff.
You can follow me over on that other little podcast called Smash This Podcast on YouTube. Smash This Podcast is also on Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitter box. Me on the Twitter box is right here, Jaybone5150. That's JAYBONE 5150.
Very nice, guys. You can get me at Trentzuberry on Twitter. Also, the show is at We Talk Impact on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or just type in Total Nonstop Impact. It comes right up. The show is also available on all audio formats: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Pandora, and the new Amazon podcast platform that just launched. It is in beta, so if you are a Amazon Music subscriber, I believe you've gotten an email. Add us on your thing, or I don't know how they're setting it up, but they have a podcast platform now, so get on that with us. Your Alexa will play Total Nonstop Impact. Twitch.tv/Total Nonstop Impact. Big shout out to the guys, the Twitch army that's been subbing and gifting. All of you guys are incredible. The stats on Twitch are amazing, and it's become a war between our Twitch and YouTube broadcasts. So we appreciate the fight that's happening there. But thank you guys for all that.
Friendly war.
It's a friendly war, yeah. Also, big shout out to the people who log in on both and they fight on both platforms together. I'm looking at you, Mark. I saw you in there today. ProWrestlingTees.com/Total Nonstop Impact. New t-shirt is up. The Cast of Characters shirt. Bill, you got it with you? Was it part of the unboxing? There it is.
Oh, yes, it was.
We have look at that. There it is. The Cast of Characters. All of us are on there. Myself, Kaylon, J-Bone, Alicia, Bill, we're all on the shirt. Designed by Josh Paxton. Thank you very much. Don't forget, guys, Sunday night is the Open Forum and Impact Plus weekly show. So we'll be talking a little explosion, a little open forum. Bring your topics. It's the shoot around show. We try to go about 90 minutes, try to shoot around some info. So bring good topic. Last week, I think, was probably the best one yet. I enjoyed it. And this week, Critical Sting will be joining us. That is our friend of the show. There he is. Critical Sting popped in there. He will be joining us this Sunday, J-Bone. I'm going to leave you to we're going to have to figure that out to get him on here. And but Sting, be ready with all your stats. And as Brian says here, we got emotes and to make TNI money. So that's what we got to do, baby. Thank you guys for all that. Am I missing anything, Bill? Any other plugs? Get your final thought on this one. Your final thought on the classic episode 43. Like, get your thought on it.
My final thought on this one was it was a great episode. The match was fantastic.
Yes.
Until the ending.
If I did
better, I would think I'm in a time warp, and Jeff Jarrett is probably still the NWA-TNA World Champion. I can't imagine he'll ever lose it based on what I've been watching. So luckily that doesn't happen. But it was one of his better matches. I do agree. But this is one of those things early TNA was known for, was some of these finishes and overbooking. And this was evident. But it was a very good episode. And I think they are, like, I know right at the beginning, Dave kind of said it. It really doesn't feel like it really lost anything. Like it doesn't feel like it's out of place. Like you could watch it today, and for the most part, except for maybe that one promo with Ron and Conan. It really doesn't fit in today. But it was a good show. It was a good show. They're at a little peak right now, and we're going to see what happens over the next couple weeks. So
and then you got tied into your fun.
Take care of yourself and each other.
Very nice. Dave, hang on for a second. We'll do the outro. Guys, thank you very much. We'll talk to you Sunday. Don't forget Tuesday, the watch along and the main show, Total Nonstop Impact, after Impact goes off the air.
Flock you.
We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Find me the name of this garbage show again that I'm on.
Total Nonstop Impact.
My name's John, capital letter E, period, Bravo, and you're listening to the Total Nonstop Impact Podcast.
This is the jaw-jacking Tuesday Night Impactin'. His mother called him son because he shines like one. Mocha Skin Manimal, Rohit Raju, and you are watching Total Nonstop Impact.
This is Taya La Güera Loca, and you are listening to Total Nonstop Impact.
The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, and you're listening to Total Nonstop Impact.
We are the Rascals. And you are listening to Total
Non-stop Impact
Podcast, baby.
Woo! And what you're really listening to is Total Nonstop Impact. Don't you dare miss a lesson. Oh, yeah.